What's awesome? What's amazing? What are the qualities of whoever's watching this video? It's your boy Patrick, aka Patty, aka Patty freaking Clips, here again with something the first of its kind, a rarity on my channel, Minecraft content coming out constantly. This is a Minecraft tutorial on Redstone, Redstone 101, a basic guide to Redstone. I'm here today to introduce you to Redstone. A lot of you out there might know it, a lot of you might have never heard of it, but I'm going to break it down from the basics onto more complicated stuff. I know a lot of people struggle with Redstone. It's a complicated part of Minecraft, but it's very fun and it allows you to be very, very creative. So I'm going to break it down. As you can see, I'm showing off Redstone ore. This can be found below layers 14. Very common in the Minecraft world. Each block will drop 4 to 5 redstone that you can put down on the ground and create redstone dust that can be powered to create doors, traps, etc. Power lights. It can do lots of stuff. So as you can see, I broke the ores. I'm in creative mode just to fly around, break blocks, put them down, and really help you understand what redstone is, what it can be used for, what it can be turned into. It can be used for potions. It can be used to power various doors and traps, and etc. And as you can see, redstone can also be turned into torches, which power rails, which are necessary for minecarts. I'm going to show that off a little bit later. But as you can see, if you use a redstone torch and put a block above the torch, it'll actually power redstone on top of the block. That is a fact that can be used in many different ways. Don't be afraid to be creative with redstone. I know it's intimidating, but I feel like the best way to get used to it and to master it is just to use it. There's gonna be bumps in the road. You're gonna get frustrated when trying like really crazy stuff. But get out there, use it, do it. I think that's the best way to really make some cool and interesting things no one's ever seen before. There are a lot of guides out there, but I believe like there's only so much you can do with a tutorial. You're building something, someone else's creation, and I want you to get out there and make your own. So that way, there's tutorials out there of things I've never even seen. So here we go. We're gonna get into it. As you can see, I got a line of redstone. Redstone can be placed down using a switch or a button or a pressure plate, and it'll go 15 blocks before it starts to power down. As you can see, it gets darker and darker along the way. So I have a repeater. A redstone repeater can also be found in transportation with redstone. Repeaters will allow redstone to go further than 15 blocks, and also help power objects that redstone is flowing into. So as you can see, I'm flicking the switch. The redstone is lighting up, which is telling you that the track is lit. If at any point your track is not lit, that means you need to change something to keep it lit to power those doors and tracks and so forth. As you can see, I'm doing this with a pressure plate. I recommend, as you can see, the repeater is not lighting up too. I just want to point that out because by going over 2, I'm past that 15 block mark. But back to what I was saying, I don't recommend using pressure plates for long trails of redstone like that, because you have to be standing on it, and so then it's kind of pointless. I would recommend these switches or buttons for stuff like that. So now I'm going to go into something a little more complicated with the redstone torch that's lit, and as you can see, the switch is off, so it's kind of weird, but that's because redstone torches can also be used as what I would call an inverter. If you put it down behind a lever or behind a block, and I'll show this off a little bit later as well, it'll allow you to use switches, and when you flick the switch on, it'll actually be off, but the block will still move, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But I just wanted to show it off here with a lever flowing into redstone and turning a switch on and off. So we're going to move on to the light. That's a redstone lamp. You flick the switch and it'll light up the lamp. As you can see, it's really bright. So if you want to have a realistic house with light switches that turn on, this is a great way to do it. Have a lever or a button flowing into redstone into a lamp. So that's great. Let's move on to the door. This is a basic door. A lot of people don't know this, but if you have redstone flowing straight into a door, it'll actually open a regular basic normal door. So if you still want to use regular doors, you can do that. There are also iron doors that can be opened with buttons. They have like a short amount of time for you to get through it. Very good way to use doors. I think some of the best stuff that I've seen out of redstone is traps, bridges, doors. So really experiment with these, and don't be afraid to really just try new things with doors, basic doors, iron doors, stone doors on pistons. Speaking of pistons, we'll get into that, what pistons are, what they look like, because they're very important when it comes to redstone. And I'm going to show off a regular piston right here. Regular pistons are a little limited in what they can do because blocks are not attached to them. If you have a block on a regular piston, it'll move up once, but then it won't move back. So if you have a switch and you're trying to do a complicated trap that moves with a lever, regular piston is not good for that because the block, as I'm going to show off, will just float after you drop the piston back down. So what I like regular pistons for is, as you can see, I have it powered by a torch. It's cool. It's a cool look for the ground. It's cool on a trap if you don't want it to be moved by a pressure plate or a switch. If you just want the piston to be there all the time, then regular pistons are good for that. And so I'm going to show off real quick what it looks like if you take the power source, or if you power it with a block on it. It'll move the block up, but then after I break the power source, the block will stay. So that's kind of flawed. Regular pistons are flawed in that way. So I mean, you can experiment and mess around and find other cool ways. I fully endorse it. So I have a torch under a regular piston that's one block into the ground, and the reason I do this is because this is a really cool looking table for houses and offices and stuff like that. So if you want to do that, totally do it. So I'm going to show you sticky pistons, which are the most effective tool in Minecraft, in my opinion, when it comes to redstone. And as you can see, redstone powered by a switch into those the reason I have those the redstone repeaters there is because it just helps it work better. I don't really recommend it for, I recommend it for when you have multiple blocks like this and you want them all to work separately and not have to have like confusing blocks laid down, because redstone is tricky when it comes to stuff like that. So I was just showing you what a sticky piston looks by itself. It's has green on it. In survival, you gotta kill some enemies to get the stuff. They're not necessarily that hard to create. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like if you have redstone connected right by each other and you're trying to power both. It doesn't really work that well. So what I recommend is having these repeaters. If you're gonna have multiple sticky pistons right next to each other that you want to fly up, I would really recommend using the repeater. And I'm gonna show you, I mean, there is a workaround, but as you can see, my middle one is not powered, and if I had another block and some more redstone on top of that block, then it powers. But see how ugly and clunky that looks? That's why I recommend using these repeaters, because it'll make it a little easier to hide a sticky piston. And as you can see, sticky pistons can go every direction, up, down, both sides, and they're that's why they're very good, and they can make a lot of different stuff. Especially once you start adding repeaters and you start adding circuits so that the redstone and clocks, so the redstone can fly through and repeat over and over and over. But that's complicated, way down the road. That's not what I want. So I'm going to show off some doorways and some doors, some common uses for redstone and for sticky pistons, and levers as well. So I have a lever here connected to some redstone behind it. So you need redstone flying straight into the block that the lever is on, behind the lever, if you want the lever to still power the redstone. So as you can see, my switch is actually off. That is the on, or it's in the off position or the on position normally, because I don't have an inverter, which I'm putting down now to show you. And so that's actually the off position. So it's awkward for the door for people who are veterans to Minecraft. I don't mind it, and I'm just really showing you that you need the inverter, the torch, on the block, not in front of the block or not next to it. You need it on the block if you want it to work. So now you can see, like, that's the off position, the switch. So when you flick it on, then it works with the inverter. But for me, I'm not making maps for like really veterans of Minecraft, so they're not going to notice like the switch being in an off position or on position. But for you guys out there that like really want your map to be genuine and true to what the way the switch should work, then I would recommend using an inverter there. But for me, I don't really mind either way, whether the switch is in on position or off position. It doesn't matter to me. So, but that's a way to use it. So as you can see, redstone flowing into the block, into the lever. The lever flies up, the blocks move because of the sticky pistons behind them. And I'm just going to show off a little bit of what it looks like underneath. Because these are great inside buildings to hide pistons. You need blocks. So as you can see, if I don't have the redstone flowing into it, it won't work. If I put a block there and have the redstone flowing into 2 blocks, it won't work. So you really got to have that redstone flowing right into that block with the lever to have it power the redstone. So I'm going to go around to show you. I have a block here flying into the piston. Because if you're not using a repeater, you need your redstone on the second level of your sticky piston if you have 2 pistons. So that way it powers both. So like with a repeater it will work, but the thing is you need the line going straight into the repeater and the repeater facing the right way, facing the sticky piston to power it. So as you can see, I put it down, but that's a little more clunky. In some situations it's a little smoother, but for me what I prefer is just having the trail of redstone come over, have a block there so that my redstone is level with both my pistons, so both pistons will fire. That's my the setup I have here for this particular doorway and entrance is what I think is ideal. I could be wrong, there could be other ways, and I would love for you to experiment and show me and comment later on how you feel about this setup, this redstone line, the switch, the lever, what you would use, what you would do differently. And so you're probably wondering, why is this side not working? Because I don't have pistons over there. Because the redstone becomes a little more complicated. But I actually do have one set up with a 2x2 entranceway to show you like how you would do this. And so the thing you need is you need redstone connected to a lever, connected to all 4 pistons. So the pistons are on opposite sides in this situation. You could also do up and down. That would be perfectly fine. But for me, I have them on the sides. And I have that cobblestone just to cover the redstone. For the setup I have, that would probably be a stairway, but I'll show you another way to do it here in a second. But as you can see, I'm flipping the switch. Both sides move. Looks fantastic. That's a great way to use the door. And I'm going to show you one more time just the inverter. Using it on off position, on position, if you want it to look a little more the way it should, so people aren't confused. And you know, more power to you. I personally don't do it, but I know there are a lot of people out there that would. So I'm just flicking the switch, showing you how smooth it works, showing you how it looks with both sides, having pistons on both sides. And that block actually is necessary because the redstone is powering into that block behind the piston, so that way the piston fires both. If you don't have that block there, you don't necessarily need to be on top of it, but you do need to have the block there so the redstone is powering into it, so both pistons move. So if that doesn't make sense, comment below. I'll go ahead and try to read those comments and answer questions down there about redstone. If you have a particular project that's not working, something you see here that you want to make or use that I don't have a tutorial video for or don't plan on putting out, just comment. I'll try to answer all those. And make sure your redstone's working flawlessly, because redstone's really fun and it's really great, and I really enjoy it. So real quick, I know some people are probably like, well, what if I don't want it to be a stairway and I just want it to be a walkway? How would that work? How would I do that? So I'm just going to break this redstone and these blocks and show you that you can totally have it just be a flat walkway. You just need it to be low enough, because you can't have a block directly on top of redstone, because then the redstone won't power, because it'll be your redstone line will be interrupted, and you can't have that with redstone. You need the line to be straight on. You can't have blocks on top of it. So as you can see, I'm just wrapping it around, but it is powered off because I did exceed the 15 block limit. So you need to find a flat surface to have a repeater that goes straight through the line, into the line, to power the piston. So as you can see, I just put a repeater there, and now we're good to go. We can make it a walkway. Well, that piston's not firing, so let's see what we're doing wrong here. This is a good chance for us to see. I like having the line on so I can see where it's going wrong. And as you can see, I don't have a block, so it's actually not powering that second piston. So I put a block there now the redstone is flowing into that block, which powers both pistons. A little laggy there. Sometimes that happens when you have a lot of redstone. Nothing to worry about. So now I'm flipping the switch. As you can see, I have a flat ground. I can cover the sides to make this into like a tunnel look, and it looks perfectly fine. And the redstone's still firing, still perfect, good to go. So that would be a standard 2x2 redstone powered or lever powered doorway. I think it looks great. It will look great in a building, in a castle. So yeah, definitely use it. So here's some other things I use with redstone. A little more complicated. I just want to touch back up on the power rails. So you need power rails to make a minecart go fast and to get up hills, make some big turns and long tracks. So redstone torches are what power those power rails. So if you're trying to make a rail, that's really important. Also, you can use redstone blocks. In survival, that's a little less practical. But I just wanted to touch on that real quick because I know some people might ask about that. So that's what I meant by power rails earlier, just to explain. So I'm going to show off a bridge that I made that I really like. And this is a great example of why you need to just experiment with redstone. As you can see, I have the redstone flowing underneath. I have sticky pistons underneath this lava. I'm not going to go into great detail about how I did it or why I did it. But as you can see, you can't get across because of the lava. But there's a lever that will actually have a bridge come up and you can walk across. So if you want to know how to make a bridge like this, just leave the comments down below. I would love to put out a tutorial for all you guys. Just let me know and I'll definitely get on top of that. And then when you flip the switch, the lava flows back in. So this is a great bridge for castles or churches, any kind of medieval building. That's really fantastic. So here you go. This is called a beacon. If you don't know what a beacon is a light that is powered by a few different blocks. I like using blocks of iron. In survival, it's not impossible to make beacons. There's a lot to go through. There are guides out there if you need to know how. But I'm just going to show you how a normal beacon works in terms of the beacon, the beam, and the colors. So normally if you use blocks of stained glass, you can change the color of a beacon. But for a rainbow beacon, what I have to the right, and what I've created underneath the ground, you actually need sticky pistons that are going in and out. I'm not going to get into great detail. Like I said, I'll have a tutorial on rainbow beacons if people want that. But I'm just going to show the difference between a standard set-alone beacon as I'm placing glass on it to change the tint of the blue. But as you can see, they don't alternate. So to have them alternate, you actually have to have a lot of redstone, some repeaters, and some switches and a clock going down there. And I'm going to just fall down real quick and give you a brief look at what's going on down here. As you can see, the pistons are firing into that beacon. I'm not going to explain any of that stuff. If you want a tutorial for that, like I said, please like, comment, subscribe on the video. I'm debating whether or not I really want to get into Minecraft tutorials, and if people tell me that's what they want to see on my channel, I would love to do it. I would definitely get into it. I mostly just play first-person shooters. I'm pretty good at them, so that's what I put out. But I would love to get into Minecraft if the audience is there and I can really help people with some of their creations. And so, yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will have more for sure. Thank you again.